My Ko-Fi supporters see my videos early. The link is in the description or on my channel. Minecraft is a game about exploration, building, mining, and anything else your imagination will allow in its infinite world. Compact Claustrophobia takes that and flips it on its head. You are tossed into what is essentially a bedrock cleaning cupboard with nothing but a torch, a quest book, and a weird machine in the floor. Our goal is to build a pickaxe which can dig its way through the bedrock and out of this room. This machine is a tiny compact machine, a little square which you can shrink down into and build inside of. Looking at the quest book, I find that the first thing I need to do is punch the walls to scrape out dirt dust, which we can then use to create dirt. We can rifle through our newly built dirt to find little bonsai saplings, which will be our first source of wood. We crouch over it to speed up its growth, and... oh, what the hell is that? There are turds in this mod, and not just that, but they are really good food, which says a lot more about the author than it does about the item itself. Anyway, the mod actually wanted us to get an oak sapling, not a spruce one, so I dig through more dirt and get the right sapling. Each bonsai tree gives you 4 branches, which we can make into 4 planks, making each of these little trees essentially equal to a single log. We get a crafting table crafted finally, and with that we can build tools to better scrape away at the machine walls. The wooden pickaxe gives us access to all of the different stone types, though we only care about the basic stone for now. 4 of these wall pebbles gives us a cobblestone block, and with that we can make a stone pickaxe for even more efficient scraping of the walls. Now, we can reach into the real tiny nooks and crannies to pull out metal dusts, such as iron, copper, lead and tin. With a couple more pebbles, we put together a furnace to turn the metal dust into ingots, and we can turn these iron ingots into an iron pickaxe, which will give us access to some of the most important resources in the entire mod. These resources being redstone and uranium. I smelt the uranium down into ingots, and with those ingots make a block of uranium. Uranium is of course, almost infamously so, radioactive, so the mod gives us a Geiger counter and a piece of hazmat suit to help handle the effects of it. With some lead, cobblestone and redstone, we can make a decay generator, which uses the radioactive decay of adjacent blocks to create power. The only problem being that I have nothing to power with it, but something called an auto clicker catches my eye, which, when provided with pickaxes, can be used to automatically chip away at the walls. Auto clickers need modularium to make, which is possibly the most useful resource in the entire mod, as you will come to understand in time. Each modularium dust requires 4 uranium, 4 iron, and a redstone dust. And 4 modularium combined with a redstone block gives us 2 machine casing, which we'll use a lot of in this mod. The auto clicker ends up being nothing too special, very slow since we only have our decay generator to power it. But now that we have started producing modularium, the possibilities are almost endless. By putting seeds into this wooden crucible, we can make water, which, among other things, we can use to speed up our crop growth. Whilst the seeds transform into water, I make something quite interesting. Poop fuel. Just like the food, it is incredibly OP fuel-wise, being equivalent to 4 coal. So, combining dust, which we crushed down from sand, which we crushed down from gravel, which we crushed down from cobblestone, using a hammer, and water, in this wooden barrel, we get clay. I'm going to need to do this 2 more times, so I have the sense to make an infinite water source in the corner here, so I don't have to keep wasting time waiting for the seeds to do whatever is happening in that crucible. Now we can happily make the rest of that clay, which we're going to use for our next little project. We're also going to need a bit of modularium for this, so I get some more smelted up. The enigmatic project I speak of is a machine called a compactor. Do not be dissuaded by its incredibly boring name, it is very important. Now, when I say machine, I do not mean a single block, but actually multiple blocks in a specific shape, a multi-block if you will. This will be a common theme in this mod, where we are going to need bigger rooms to fit bigger machines to make bigger rooms. Here is a glimpse of the finished compactor, into which we can put 4 modularium ingots, and out pops a compact machine wall. I'm sure you see where this is going now. 4 of these, 4 wooden planks and a machine casing gets us a tiny compact machine. So instead of 1 3x3x3 room, we have 2 3x3x3 rooms. That makes us half as compact, but still just as claustrophobic. I decide that this cube can be dedicated to farming, and I name it appropriately. Our next step is going to be to get a metal press, which we can press tiny compact machines into tiny compact machine parts, of which we need 4 to make the next tier of compact machine, the small tier. Anyway, time to turn this into an actual farm. I move my infinite water source in here, as well as some dirt, and till the dirt with my bare hands, which is something you can do in this mod for reasons. The next thing I build is a sawmill, which is incredibly useful to us in 2 ways. First, if we put bonsai branches into it, it gives us 2 planks per branch rather than the usual 1. And second, it produces sawdust as a byproduct, which is used in a number of recipes, from TNT to an infinite poop feedback loop. But we can't get around to that until we have more space, and in case you didn't notice, there is a big machine taking up half of the room, so I start gathering more modularium to build the new compact machine to house our compactor. Whilst waiting, I start to Yep, the game crashed. A temporary nuisance, however, as I quickly load back in and finish crafting the new room. I move the compactor into it, and look at all this space I've freed up. Now, for the next stage of the game, we're going to need a sieve, and for that, we need string. So I go into my farm room to grow some industrial hemp. We then take some cobblestone, hammer it down into dust, and sieve the dust to get sulphur, which is a key ingredient in explosives. You will see soon what we need these for. Another ingredient we need is niter, which is gathered by throwing dust into human excrement. I wish I was kidding. 1 sulphur, 4 niter, and 1 sawdust will give us 3 gunpowder, so we're going to need to get another sulphur to craft a block of TNT. You will of course want to know what we want TNT for, as in a room like this, it's surely suicide to set off explosives. Well, you see, any further advances in technology are now gated behind steel, and bereft of any conventional methods of producing it. We are instead going to blow up blocks of iron and gather the small amount of steel produced in the blast. I set up this new compact machine, colloquially called the boom room, and get down to business. From 5 blocks of iron, so 45 iron ingots, we get 30 steel grit. Honestly, a lot better than one should expect from such a process. Like all new resources we attain, the first thing I do is make a pickaxe out of it and see what it can chip out of these walls. I'll be honest, most of it looks to be pretty useless to me right now, but we wanted the steel for other stuff we can craft with, not the pickaxe. The first of those being the thermoelectric generator, which uses the temperature difference between opposite sides of itself to produce power. I go back into the boom room, which is now named storage, despite me literally never using it in the past, present or future for such a thing, and place down the generator, which doesn't really look like it's doing anything, but once I put down my sawmill on it, it is apparent that it is at least working. You will remember that I said that the thermoelectric generator uses a difference in temperature to produce power, so it is reasonable to assume that the greater the temperature differential is, the more power it should produce. So, we set steel rods on fire to turn them into blaze rods, crush the blaze rods into powder, and then crush that powder into lava, which is, I assume, quite a bit hotter than uranium. Another upside of using lava is that we now have access to cobblestone without needing to smack the walls. I realise around now that I'm far too good to be hammering my own cobblestone, so I build a pulverizer which not only automatically crushes things, but also gives extra useful byproducts, such as crushing cobblestone into gravel, also giving a bit of sand, or crushing gravel, giving a bit of flint. Next up, I am running low on poop. You'll never hear me say that again. And I'm not producing enough to keep up with demand, since we're using it to fuel our furnaces and in the production of TNT. So it's time to make use of that infinite poop loop I mentioned earlier. Essentially, throwing poop into water makes sewage water, and we can combine pulped biomass and sawdust to make bio blend, which, if we throw into the poop water, creates free poop, basically giving us 2 poop per pulped bio blend. I found a way to combine collecting cobblestone and mining the walls for optimum AFK efficiency. Anyway, it's time to get around to that metal press I told you about earlier, which means it's time for a new room to put it in. Before that though, I bestow it the title of the Boom Room, because we're running low on steel, so it's time to put a bit more boom into our room. From the 15 iron blocks which actually exploded, we got 72 steel grit, which is more than enough for quite a while. With this newly acquired steel, we can get the metal press that we will need to make the next tier of compact machine. I move all my thermoelectric generator, as well as the pulverizer and sawmill, into here, and from now on, this can be my little factory room. For us to craft the next tier of compact machine, the small compact machine, we need 4 tiny ones, so it's about time to gather some more materials. To save myself from carpal tunnel syndrome, we are going to use an auto clicker, which we're going to try to jam an obscene amount of power into, until it can mine almost as fast as us for the rest of time. Initially, I tried it with a decay generator, but it was just painfully slow, and nowhere near enough. So I switched plans and tried to see how many thermoelectric generators I could fit into this box, while still being able to access it. 1 became 2, became 3, became 4, and yet later on, there was still space for more. Careful with your machine outputs, people. My sawmill was inadvertently outputting directly into the pulverizer, turning all of my wooden planks into sawdust immediately. Back to the auto clicker momentarily. It goes through pickaxes quite quickly now, so I put a hopper onto it so I can just drop in like 5 at a time and leave it to work. After a bit of AFK and farming time, it gathers enough resources for me to build my 4 tiny compact machines, which I then put through the metal press to make tiny compact machine parts. 4 of these, 4 compact machine walls, and a machine casing, and we get the small compact machine, which is a 5x5x5 room, and running around inside of it feels like those first steps out of the car after a long road trip. Now, what is a bigger room for, if not for a bigger machine? The crusher is a 3x3x5 machine, which we will need to turn small compact machines into small compact machine parts, 4 of which we can combine into a medium compact machine, which is naturally the next step of the game. Until we actually have the resources to craft a medium compact machine, however, which by my calculations is 420 modularium, as well as some unimportant stuff, this machine is going to sit dormant. So we have a lot of modularium to make, needing 6.5 stacks of both iron and uranium grit, as well as almost 2 stacks of redstone. We need a lot of compact machine walls to finish this project, and the decay generator in our compactor room can't keep up with demand. So we move the compactor over a block to fit in a thermoelectric generator. After setting up power for the crusher, I find that every time I tried to enter, I would be pushed out of the room, which gives you the wither effect and teleports you back to the room you came from, eventually leading to my death. I got my stuff back, and after spamming jump, I eventually managed to escape the block I was stuck in when I entered, and could change my entry point in the room. After a lot of smelting, compacting, and crafting, I have all of the tiny compact machines I need, so I make all of my small compact machines. I throw them into the crusher, and out pops small compact machine parts. Now all that's left to do is to combine these into a medium compact machine. If you thought the 5x5x5 machine was nice, you could swing a cat in this one. The most important bit about this room, which might surprise you, is that you can grow trees in it. Up to this point, we've been using bonsai trees, which were nice, but lack one important thing: logs. You see, without logs we can't make charcoal, and without charcoal we can't make graphite, which is the next most important item for us in this mod. To make graphite, we need to turn charcoal into coke in a coke oven, crush it into powder, and then turn the coke dust into graphite dust in a squeezer. So that's 2 new machines we're going to have to make to progress any further. For a coke oven, we need lots of clay, so I'm gathering that now by combining dust and water. We throw together the coke oven, but I quickly discover that it takes an absurd amount of time for the charcoal to coke transition, so I've got a lot of waiting coming up. Whilst I wait, I get the squeezer built, which can go in this room as well, because it's the only place which will fit it. I drop the coke through the crusher, giving us coke dust for the squeezer. It takes 8 of these to make graphite dust, so suffice to say, it takes a long damn time to get any reasonable amount of graphite. Smelting graphite dust gives us graphite ingots, which we can blow up to make the next important resource we want, diamond nuggets. The chance of getting diamond nuggets when exploding graphite is 1 in 5, so it takes a lot of graphite just to make a few diamond nuggets. In this case, we got only 1 nugget from 3 graphite ingots. I should probably explain my goal for this specific episode, which is to set up a refined storage system, which, if you don't know what that is super OP, and you'll see it in action soon. For this, we need a lot of processors, a couple of which requiring diamond nuggets. I get the controller crafted, which is the heart of the machine, but the rest of the machine is going to need more diamonds, which means more waiting. In the meantime, I get a new small compact machine put together, which I'm going to use to house our refined storage machine, as well as any other machines we're going to use a lot of. When looking at the recipe for the disk drive, a part of the refined storage system, I see that it wants a shulker box. It does in fact not need a shulker box, however. Any old chest'll do, but I'm still going to spend half an hour chasing that red herring and only realise it right at the end. Before I do though, I first make the ugliest cobblestone generator in the history of the planet. The weird coloured piece of wall behind it is called a padded wall, and make sure that if I hit it, I don't dig resources and lose durability on my pickaxe. Enough charcoal had accumulated by this point to give us more graphite, so I go to blow up the 5 ingots and get none. 0. Nada. In fairness, there was a 33% chance of that happening, but it doesn't make me any less annoyed. I eventually get around to wasting my time getting shulker shells by sprinkling blaze powder onto a trapped chest, which turns it into a mimic that's basically just a shulker with a different name. It's only a 50% chance for a shell to drop, so we're going to have to kill a few more. Why I insist on fighting them in this massive room when they can literally levitate you away is beyond me. Anyway, I get the 2 shells I want and craft the shulker box, which is going to sit in a chest for the rest of the episode. I get power set up in the storage room and plug it into the refined storage machine. The second machine there is called a grid, which is used to take items in and out of the system. But what we really want is a crafting grid, which does that, but also acts as a crafting table, which is going to need, yet again, more diamonds. I put all my chips on black, wasting a TNT to blow up a measly 3 graphite, and quite predictably, get 0 diamond nuggets. Distraught from this completely predictable loss, I end up just going AFK for an hour to let a load of charcoal accumulate and blow up 12 graphite at the same time. If I didn't get the diamond nuggets I needed from this, the video was quite simply getting canned. Thankfully, it seems that my dream luck has kicked in, as I got 6 nuggets from the 12 graphite, with only a 2% chance of that happening. We finally get our refined storage system set up, and you can see here why it's such an OP system. We can dump all of our items into this single machine, which, with enough storage disks, could hold thousands of chests worth of items, and craft with them on demand, instantly, without having to rifle through chests or organise. Now, this was going to be the end of the video, but I decided it would be good for me to give myself an absolutely flying start for the next video I make, so we have some more work to do. I make myself a manufactory to produce graphite powder from charcoal, not to be confused with the graphite dust from earlier, because they are completely different apparently. Combining this with lead makes basic plating, which we can use to make a cobblestone generator, which does what it says on the tin really. Hook this up to a couple pulverizers and that's free gravel, sand and dust forever. The problem with pulverizers is that they need a lot of power, and whilst trying to set up more, we do what is in the business called a big fucking oopsie. Almost out of shock, I placed the other generator, but we don't have anything to mine that obsidian with, and won't for a long time. I get a better idea though. This mining room has 7 thermoelectric generators, all for just a single auto clicker, so I use a tunnel to connect the power from this room to the outside of the machine, and then into the storage room, where we can use it to power all of our machines. That does mean we have no active auto clickers now, but I can easily set some new ones up soon. I next build a tower of pulverizers, which, like I mentioned earlier, will give us an infinite supply of cobblestone, gravel, sand and dust, saving me a lot of time and effort. Previously, getting TNT was a hard task, but since it's made out of almost entirely dust, this makes it a breeze. I also build this new auto clicker setup, which essentially just turns whatever pickaxes you put into the top into resources, no further interference required. But all good things must come to an end, and with what is essentially my hub of operations set up, I'm ready to hop back in next time and make some more progress. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And special thanks to my Ko-Fi supporters, Zakaka Quack, Acrid Arsonist, Dragonium, Dictastly Enthusiast, Scovey, Mockafet, Moon Runes, Thomas, Shrunk Hoovy, Dr. Ducklumps, Preston Cole, Das Tom, Bartio, Leo, Sucales, The Fiendish, Stocky, Michael Schoning, Pubic Tuft, and Nathan14321.